Ryan, what up? How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you, Chad?
I'm doing okay. I appreciate you taking the time and jumping on with me.
Yep,
We've been
you bet.
working together for 4 years now, 4 or 5
Yep,
years. Some
yep. Since 2020.
It's 2020, COVID time. All right. So you have had some insane results when it comes to the commercial roofing service sales side. I wanted to expand a little bit more on that. Can you talk to me a little bit about your journey over these past several years and kind of some of the unbelievable results that you've had?
Yeah, absolutely. So working with Chad and the team has helped me a lot. I'm actually projected to hit 3 million in service sales this year in one territory. I only operate out of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I was able to kind of scale the clients that I had inside of my book of business with Chad and the assistance of his team. But then also I learned how to do it on my own and go out and find new clients and scale them and dissect them down and figure out what their pain and issues were. And here we are. I'm on track for the best year of my life.
I love it. I love it. So the Grover scale side is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I mean, in order to hit 3 million, so when I say a normal service sales rep, is putting in 500,000, maybe 1 million a year, right? And most companies would be ecstatic with that. You're at 3 million. I mean, ultimately keeping 6+ trucks moving every single year. How do you manage that? Like how does that happen?
Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that you have to follow. It's having to dive into each one of your clients, figuring out, getting their entire portfolio, figuring out who handles what. I mean, there's a process behind everything that we're doing, and as long as you're following that same process of how to like strategically grow these clients. One huge thing that's been great for me that I started actually asking for because I don't know why I was a little scared asking for referrals before, but now that I'm actually going to these people who trust me and say, "Hey, we're doing a great job for you guys. You got anybody you want to refer us to?" And we go do a great job for them. That was one of the questions. I want to say you even wrote it out for me on how to ask for the referrals. I mean, since I've been asking referrals, I started doing that in 2024. I increased my sales by 20%
That's awesome. All
for
right. So just
year one asking for referrals, 20%.
that is awesome. You're talking $3 million. So this isn't just like a 10, 20, $30,000 increase, 20%.
Yep.
That is absolutely unheard of, let alone, like you said, this is one territory that you're in. So just the DFW market, $3 million. What about preventative maintenance? What about long-term contracts other than just sales? Can you talk to us a little bit about what you've been able to do in that sector?
Absolutely. So just recently this year, I want to say beginning of February, I've been working on a contract with a client for, since like October of last year, going back and forth, trying to get everything aligned perfectly. It ended up being 75 properties. We ended up selling the contract for $450,000. It's a 2-year agreement. We go out annually. So we'll go out, we'll do the full rooftop maintenance, and then we'll give them a full detailed inspection report. And then we'll do that same thing again the next year. That's 75 properties, and those 75 properties we're now responsible for every fire station in the city of Dallas, which is pretty awesome.
That's
So that's just going to extend different things, different opportunities, because we weren't working for any of these fire stations before. We weren't doing anything. We were just taking on leaks and doing little things for them as we went. We stayed tight to them. We took on everything that they said they wanted to accomplish, and we gave that back to them in what we delivered in our proposal. And we were up against two or three other people. We kept a good stream of communication with them through the entire process, and they liked that. So, I mean, we ended up winning the contract, and it was the largest RTM contract I've sold in my career.
That's awesome. So we got a 500,000 just in preventative maintenance, right? That does not include leak calls, that does not include replacements, anything else that's going to stem from gathering this data, right? And becoming that trusted advisor. That's awesome, man. That is unheard of, right? $500,000 inside rooftop maintenance. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty cool. But I mean, that's not the only one. Rooftop maintenance is where it all starts, to be honest with you. It gives you the opportunity to get on the client's roof. It gives you the opportunity to gather your data that you need. And then at the end of the day, if you put it in an ROI calculator and we catch all these things ahead of time, we're saving them money at the end of the day because they're going to be spending money on emergency leaks. They're going to be spending money on repairs that could have been prevented from that RTM contract.
Yeah.
So,
Love it.
it works out great. So I've been pushing RTM contracts a lot lately, and, you know, the return on them is great for us.
So I love that you mentioned the ROI calculator, right? Because it's one thing to be able to calculate what's the cost and how much are we going to make doing this. But what we created was the ROI calculator was actually the return on investment. So if they
Yeah.
spent this $500,000, right, what are they going to get back inside life extension, inside reduced leaks, right? Inside
Yeah.
maybe even moving to a restoration system rather than having to do a replacement or a full tear off. So I love that you're utilizing that, and I love that it's feeding into your success. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So
We
how
appreciate we appreciate all the different things that we were taught throughout the way of doing that because we never broke things down the way we did. That you know, I almost want to say we were like dinosaurs before the way we did things compared to the way we are now. It's night and day difference, and nobody used an ROI calculator on RTMs 5 years ago. Nobody even knew what that was. Honestly, I didn't.
I love it. So how do you hear about us?
Honestly, my owners brought you in, and my ownership, it was above me. Ownership brought you guys in, kind of wanted to shake things up a little bit, wanted to get a full feel on what we were doing inside the company, and here we are 5 years later, still working together.
Love it. Love it. So yeah, so brought in, right, from ownership, come in, be able to say, "Hey, I feel there's more that we can accomplish." What were some of the biggest obstacles or struggles you had prior to us coming in?
Following processes, man. I was sloppy. I didn't always like think about all the things that went into why these clients need our services, right? I just thought, hey, they need our services. I'm going to give them a piece of paper with a number on it and do my best to get the approval on it, right? There was no process behind that, discovering what was really going on behind all the leak, right? The leak or the repairs or whatever it was. So there's a whole process that was taught to us that if you follow that process, I'll even take it back to the 4Ds, the
Yep.
4D process, which is
Yeah.
really simple,
Yep.
but I mean it's very accurate and it gets you what you need. It's kind of like going to the doctor for a human or taking your car for an oil change. It's the same thing. It's just different type of sale.
I
But yeah,
love
I would have to go with the processes and then the different things that I was told to do to get to be better. I actually followed them and listened instead of just taking it with a grain of salt.
I love that. And I love that you bring up the 4Ds, right? Because the 4Ds ultimately evolved into the three checkpoints,
Yeah.
right? So continue to try to make it easier and simpler for us to be able to find out, does this client actually have a problem big enough to act, right? Which went into that and then so on. So that's awesome. What
Yeah.
what's one of the biggest impact or results that you guys have brought into your business now that you're working with service alignment?
That's an easy question. My sales numbers. I mean, that is clearly the best thing that's happened for me since, we started this in 2020 is every year, I went from $1 million salesperson, not even, I think I was like 750 the year I started. Then each year gradually I went up a little bit more. And here we are, we're going to do projected right now to do 3 million, but it could be even closer to four
That's
in one year.
awesome. So do you
Pretty
see
exciting.
Do you see 2026 being even more than what you have right now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bringing in new clients, the plan that I'm on right now that was set up for me, I have to bring in X amount of new clients per month, X amount of dollars I got to bring in X amount of referrals per month. And if as long as I'm hitting those goals, even if they're not buying tomorrow or next month, they're still in the pipeline, they're still established, they're still going to be eventually, working with me. So
I love it.
I feel like
Long-term
every year
vision.
it's going to get bigger and bigger.
Long-term vision, and you're not at your ceiling, right? We haven't hit the cap. It's not like I can't possibly do anymore. That to me is the coolest part is you're not hitting that glass ceiling that you still see, okay, there's next steps, right? And everything I'm putting in is just going to feed in and come back inside the future. I love that.
Yeah.
So final question I have for you. Anybody who's thinking about coming on board on service alignment, what feedback, what's input would you give them inside making the decision?
I would uh I would definitely say if they want to make their team stronger, everybody says they want that well-oiled machine, and that's what we were striving to be for many years. If they want that inside of their company, if they want a good energy, if they want everybody going head to head but still getting along doing it, if they want all that type. And then the most important thing is if they want to increase the revenue of their business and if they want to increase sales dollars and bring in more work, this is the best way. This is the easiest way in my eyes.
Love it. Love it. Love it. We always say that sales creates backlog, backlog creates revenue, revenue delivers profit.
Yeah.
All right. So bringing that in. So I truly appreciate you taking the time, sharing some feedback and some of the success stories that you had, Ryan. Continue to be able to push, man, because when we look at what you're accomplishing in a single metro, I would love to be able to, meet or, I'll say meet anybody else who's even coming close to what you're doing, man. So keep it up. You're definitely top 1% of the 1%. And I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, Chad.
See ya.